Good afternoon, YouTube. It's your guy J Crew to you, coming at you with another YouTube video today. And unfortunately, I'm coming at you with some more somber news concerning the entertainment community, in particular the hip hop community. Over the past year or so, been a lot of entertainers that have passed away, and particularly in the hip hop community. Some of the notable artists that have passed away have been Shock G of Digital Underground, which is an early 1990s rap group. He was best known to be a rapper on that song, The Humpty Dance, and Same Old Song. Back in the early 1990s, he passed away. It was either early this year or late last year. Also, a few months back, I believe in April, Mr. Earl Simmons, aka DMX, he passed away. And just this past Friday, on July 16th, a New York-based rapper that most people may not remember now, but if you were to hear some of his songs, you probably might recall who he is, Mr. Marcel Hall, also known as Biz Markie, uh, passed away. So we're losing a lot of people in the hip hop community, man. So it's like, wow. A lot of people are checking out, man, unfortunately. But the reason I'm doing a video on Marcel Hall, aka Biz Markie, was that I think he was somewhat of a breath of fresh air in the hip hop community. Back when he came out, I mean, there were other rappers who were not the most serious guys in the world, who were coming out just rapping songs about just the art of rapping or just being goofy. But in particular, Biz Markie was a so-called clown prince of rap. And if you listen to his first few albums, and probably, if not all of them, you'll kind of get the gist of why he's called that. He just wasn't that serious. He was just a guy who just enjoyed doing music and who just put music out that you would probably could enjoy, whether you were in a black community, white community, Asian community, whatever community, you would be able to enjoy the rapper Biz Markie. And I myself, when I was an adolescent and growing up, I remember listening to his music, and he stuck out because of that to me. I always said to myself, if I would be rapping, I could see myself rapping like Biz Markie, not all that serious, not talking about guns, drugs, and pimping and prostitutes and all that. He was just having fun, and he was the essence to me of what old school hip hop was originally about. If you follow his career, as anyone, Biz Markie would have, a controversy here or there, just like anybody else. But his controversy was a bit different other than what you would think. In particular, Biz Markie would become known uh, for a particular controversy when it came to sampling. And I'm going to get to that, maybe in a few more minutes. But first of all, I want to get into a few records that Biz Markie did that were of note, that really kind of made him stand out. He originally released an album in, I think it was 88 or 89, called Going Off. And one of his most notable singles on that album was a song called The Vapors. And I really enjoyed The Vapors. Not only was he just kind of having a good time on there, he was actually being lyrical. Biz Markie basically was talking about what I call the come up. He was discussing what it was like to go from a nothing to a something on that track called The Vapors. And basically what he was saying is that, all of us kind of go through a trying times when we're trying to climb our way to the top of whatever profession that we're in. But with Biz Markie, he was talking about his own profession, music, how he wasn't taking that seriously. People kind of dissed him and didn't really like him. Girls didn't really pay attention to him. But he kept grinding, he kept going until he got to the top. And basically, what he was saying was that other people are going to catch your vapors. I mean, almost like, let me try to put it in terms of you driving a car. Like if you drive a nice car and you maybe speed past somebody who maybe standing on the side of the road, what you see, if you stand on the side of the road, is the dust that fast cars kicking up and those gas vapors that are coming out those exhaust pipes. That's kind of like what he's saying. Like, when I made it, people are trying to catch up to my vapors that I emitted. It mean they're trying to sort of like follow what he's doing, and enjoying what he's doing. In other words, he came up and other people are kind of looking up to him instead of the other way around. And as I mentioned earlier, the Vapors had a sample in it from a James Brown song from like the late 1970s, I believe. I forget the name of the song, but that song contained a sample. Well, before I kind of get into the sampling thing, let me kind of mention another song that he did on his next album. Thought I can remember off the top of my head, but Biz Markie's next album is called "The Biz Never Sleeps," and it's kind of going along with the title of this video when I say "The Biz Never Sleeps." And he had a song on there called "Just a Friend." That's probably like his most famous song. As a matter of fact, that song went platinum, meaning that it sold over 1 million copies. And basically, he was talking about, being in a relationship with a girl and, trying to get with her, but find out she has a dude that she said is just a friend, but he's in fact another boyfriend or something, or a lover. That song went platinum, but it also contained a sample in the song. And so his first two big records contained samples, which is what Biz Markie, was known for, up until this point. Those first two songs contained samples. Well, Biz Markie released a third album called "I Need a Haircut," and you can tell by the title of that album, just by seeing it, he's not all that serious. I need a haircut. That was kind of like, it puts you in the mind frame of what a Ludacris or a Busta Rhymes probably would have said, with a title like that. He just wasn't all that serious. He was just kind of playing around. Well, Biz Markie had another song on this record. This time, I don't believe this record was as big as his first two, but it was called "Alone Again." And this record, "Alone Again," had been sampled from an artist that did a song maybe like in the 70s or early 80s, I believe. And really, it was the same song title. But this time, Biz Markie would have an issue with this. When I believe the other artists became aware that Biz Markie had sampled this song, he took Biz Markie to court. And I believe they won a judgment not only when it came to getting money from Biz Markie for that record, but it changed the hip-hop industry in the fact that it made hip-hop artists get samples cleared. Meaning that they had to communicate with the artists they were taking the music from and give them credit on albums before it could actually be put out by the artist, or else they risk being sued or having the song shut down. And so that was the big controversy that he went through back then. It was related to business in terms of giving people credit. Let me say this: I think that's the right thing to do. With Biz Markie having so much success off of other people's beats and samples that he pulled, I believe that should be done. You should give people credit for samples. And for people who don't know, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into the sampling issue. If you even follow hip hop music throughout the years, you know that the hip hop industry was built off of samples. It was created off of sampling. For most people who were around in the 70s or who kind of researched the 70s, who maybe weren't alive, in the 1970s, disco was the big art form in terms of music that was out. Even though it really didn't go past the 70s, it really just kind of domineered that time frame. And one of the big songs was a song by this group named Chic. I believe it's spelled CHIC. I'm trying to go off my memory, but I think the group's name was Chic. And they had a song called "Good Times." And what happened is that another hip-hop group called the Sugar Hill Gang, or should I say the first real hip-hop group of note, was called the Sugar Hill Gang. And the reason they were the first big hip-hop group of note is that they sampled that song "Good Times" and they turned it into their own single. And for people who were around during that time period, the Sugar Hill Gang created a song that was unlike anything that you really had ever heard before. And as you can see on my screen here, it was called Rapper's Delight. It was released in 1979, and it became a smash hit. But keep in mind, it sampled another song, Chic's Good Times. As a matter of fact, let me get back to the word sample. When you think of sampling, a lot of people just take a whole beat and maybe they just redo the song in terms of the lyricism. But there's another term that comes into play when you talk about sampling other people's music. You might interpret it, meaning that you may not take the entire beat. You may choose to take certain parts of their songs and sort of interpret. You may take the drums only. You may take maybe a guitar riff. And if you take that from another song, it's called an interpolation. If I stand correct. And that's basically what the Sugar Hill Gang did with Rapper's Delight. It was an interpolation of Chic's Good Times. But it just became like the standard early on in hip-hop. Because keep in mind, a lot of hip-hop acts, given that hip-hop was so new in the 80s, and of course with 79 with that song being released by the Sugar Hill Gang, they didn't have the money to basically produce their own tracks or either get equipment together that could produce their own beats. So they had to sample. It was a way to save money, but to indulge in their art form. So either way, it was unfortunate, but Biz Markie became known for that. For, not only just kind of using what everybody else would use in hip-hop at that time, with, the 80s and the early 90s, which is sampling, but he was the first real artist that got sued, and he was forced to give credit to the original artist that he lifted the track from. And everybody else who came after him would be forced into that chokehold too. But either way, I would like to say rest in peace to Mr. Marcel Hall, Biz Markie. Even though people probably looked at you as a big goofball, I respected what you tried to do, which is try to be different. Unfortunately, I think Biz Markie, he was always kind of like a big guy. So he had health problems over the last few years, and maybe we had health problems for many years. I believe he had type 2 diabetes. And last year, as I've come to understand, he kind of was in the hospital because he had a stroke. And he had been in and out, basically, trying to fight, to recover from the stroke along with his diabetes. But he pretty much lost his battle this past Friday on July 16th at age 57. So I would like to say rest in peace to Mr. Marcel Hall, a.k.a. Biz Markie. You definitely left your mark in this world, which is what I think all of us try to do in one way or another. So just wanted to do this quick video. If you like the content on my channel, please hit the like button. And if you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. It's your guy J. Crew to you. Signing off for today. Y'all have a good one.